If you look underneath the distributor cap, you know, they're a little bit different, but enough that I'm going to go with this one, just because I don't have to worry about is the timing advancing or is it not. Is this little connector doing what it's supposed to do? So it's like this is like way longer than that. But either way, I pulled this distributor out of a running engine, so I know it's a good one, so I won't have to worry about any kind of issues when it comes to you know, the car running when I put it back in. I could probably use a little bit of cleanup, but you know, these timing advance springs are a little heavier on one versus the other, but they both move, and that's the important part. So we're going to put this one back in, and then hopefully the timing will work. We also need to check these out and make sure those are both working before we put it in. Before I put the distributor back in, I'm going to I'm going to install the bracket for this kickdown cable. So that's what we had in the car. I'll remove it here in a second, and this is what we're going to add. So basically it's the same thing, and the difference is it has this little square where the kickdown cable right there will end up attaching to. I'll show you how to adjust it here in a second, but I figured it was easier to put this in now with the distributor out than waiting. So hopefully with that there, that will help us out and make it so the transmission will downshift. So it shifts just fine. It's just when you slam on the gas, you're not going to get any kind of you know, upshift to pass somebody. That's the only thing it does. But that's definitely helpful if you're going to drive the car. So we'll put that in. With the distributor issue fixed, it's now time to move on to the cooling system. Here's the thing. This cooling system, I drove the car 15 miles. It didn't overheat, didn't get hot, but here's the thing. It's all 20 plus years old, 2025. You know how rubber can get at that time. So I decided it's best to do what we got to do in order to make sure that it always is good and always and never overheats. So I didn't replace the radiator because I saw lots of flow through it whenever I was filling the car full of coolant. But basically everything else in this entire car will get replaced. So I have a new water pump, I have new hoses, I have a new thermostat and gasket, and I also have a new fan. So this is the flex fan that came off of this car, and before, if you noticed, because it didn't have the right depth, it didn't really sit inside the shroud. It wasn't close and pushed up against the radiator, which now it will be because I have a fan off of a Corvette that I will put in. So all this together was probably around $150. If I had another radiator to put in it, it'd probably be about $250, but that's not bad. Whole brand new cooling system for just $250. Not bad. So we got some hoses here, upper and lower. We have thermostat right here, thermostat gasket. I do have another belt. It's just I already took it out of the box. Let's see. We have in here a whole bunch of coolant. And the best part is this came from Summit. So Summit Racing's in Arlington. So I can buy before 5 o'clock on one day and get it the very next day. So in less than 24 hours, the motor showed up. It was great. The air filter, not part of the cooling system, but you know, I figured I'd throw one in there for good measure. Another belt, we have a water pump, and this is a fan clutch right here. So all that together put in will make sure that the Camaro never overheats. So hopefully the radiator will be fine. I'm pretty sure the radiator will be fine. It was holding water this whole time. It's never leaked a drop, and driving the car around will probably, you know, start to flush some of that stuff out. But the one reason why I decided to do all this was, check this out. That water pump's toast. I have all the coolant drained. If you look at this drain plug, it's seen definitely better days. Oh, and here come the dogs. One dog, two dogs. What are you guys doing? Where are you going? Bye-bye. With the alternator moved out of the way, you can see a little bit more clearly the water pump. So it attaches with two bolts right here, but then the alternator actually attaches right here in the front. So it's different than any Corvette water pump that I would have had, which is a shame because I have those new. So another thing, it attaches here in the other end. Two things happen. So first is I can't get this pulled out. I'm letting it sit for a little bit. Hopefully I don't break it. And hopefully I don't have to get it out with a set of vice grips. But I'm happy to report there is a thermostat inside, so that's good. Next are these radiator hoses. Part of me was like, man, you don't need to do any of this work. I mean, just drive the car as it is. It worked out fine when you drove it, you know. Who needs to, you know, spend all this money on the cooling system? Check this out. So this hose has a spring in it, but I mean, I want you to look at the inside of this hose. I cut it to get it off the radiator, but it's nasty in there. And honestly, without this spring, this hose is really, really easy to squish in like this. And so I don't think it would take pressure very well. This other bottom hose, it's a little harder to squish. It's a little bit more substantial. Probably because it's not, you know, 40 years old. This one might be the original one. I know the top one was a Gates hose, but I don't see any markings on this. Who knows? It doesn't matter either way. It's at least from the year 2000, so it needs to be replaced. So I'll pull some more parts off. Also, what I'm going to do is, since I got everything open and easy to get to, I'm going to replace this fuel pump. And that's the last part of the fuel system on this car. So yeah, one thing at a time. Luckily this stuff shouldn't take too much longer, but I always end up dripping coolant everywhere, no matter how many pans I have at the bottom. I'm not surprised it went this way, but both bolts on this intake for the thermostat housing broke right at the top on both of them. And, of course, the thermostat housing broke in half. I got this one loose and it was just seized. It's seized inside of here, and I can't get it out, and I was prying out with a screwdriver, and of course it blew in half. Which is fine. I mean, it's like a $6 part, but it's just amazing that... Yeah, that's totally stuck open. Good thing we're replacing that stuff. So, looks like a factory one. Who knows? But, yeah, that needs to go. We have a new one. I'm really looking at this front of this engine, and I'm thinking maybe I'll do a timing chain. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But, I don't know, I'm like a damper and a cover away. We might as well do it. Now that I have to buy this water neck, maybe I will. Figured out why it didn't want to come off. So it's completely seized along the entire up shaft of the bolt between here and the intake. But the good part is, if I hit it with a hammer, I can get it to rotate. So I'll get this one out, but I lost a thermostat housing in the process. Then we got to work on getting that one out, which will be a little bit harder, I think. But vice grip should help. Since I have to wait for a new thermostat cover anyway, I figured might as well throw my puller on, take the balancer off, and look at the timing chain. I mean, I don't have to replace it, but after 100,000 miles, it probably needs replaced anyway, and I'm already 90% done with the job, so might as well do it. Place your bets on what the timing chain is going to look like. Let's see what we got. My flashlight would stay where it wants to stay. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, place your bets on what do you think the timing cover, the timing chain is going to look like. What do you think it's going to look like in there? Alright. Oh yeah. One side's good, one side's not. Yeah, I'll put a new set on there. Luckily, they're metal gears, so that's always a good thing. A lot of times there are these nylon gears that strip. At least maybe in the older ones, but there you go. I'll order up a new chain. Finally got some parts in the mail for this timing chain. It was actually almost about the same price to replace the gears and the chain as opposed to just the chain. So we'll just go ahead and do it. The thing you want to do when you replace these is you want to line up the little marks. There's a mark on the bottom of the, you guys probably can't see that. There's a mark on the bottom right here on this gear, and you have to line it up with the mark right there. And that's how you know that you're lined up perfect, and you can go ahead and swap it. Basically, remove the 3 bolts, slide everything off, put the new stuff back on, and then you're ready to go. Once that gets done, we'll put the cover back on, and then we'll start basically just putting it back together and fire it up again. So there's been a little bit of confusion on what engine is in this Camaro. So let me show you. If you look right here, you probably can't see that. You can see it right there, LG 350 2-barrel carb. Alright, and if you look right here, this is the engine stamp. And it says on the engine stamp, it says 12N112987. If you go over to the VIN, I bet none of this stuff you're going to be able to see. The last 5 digits are 12987 on the VIN. So yes, it's a 350 with a 2-barrel. That's what came in it. It's not a 307 or 305 or whatever everybody was saying it was. The other thing is, there's a bunch of people who are like, the car is a fake barn find. Look guys, 2005 of 1999. It's there. It really has been in there for 20 years. So I don't know what you guys, I don't know what some people are thinking when they think it's fake. I don't know. So the timing chain's in, and I'm working on the cooling system. As you saw previous in the video, a whole bunch of new parts, but I wanted to show you guys first. What was stopping me was this. It's basically a broken off stud where the thermostat goes. And I hit it with heat, I hit it with penetrating oil over and over for a couple days, and I finally got it loose. So now it moves. But we're really, really close to firing this thing up. So, new fuel pump right there. The old one worked, but I'm paranoid about it rupturing and filling my engine full of gas. The fuel line is new, so we're getting pretty close. I'll record again once I have everything in, but we have a mechanical fan and a clutch because the old one just wasn't doing it.